Hey friends, welcome to today's video. I'm so excited for today's video. It's going to be a end of year, yay, review of kindergarten. Stay tuned. Hey friends, welcome back to today's video. I'm Stacey. I'm a homeschool mom of 4 boys, and in this video I'm going to be sharing all about our kindergarten year, what curriculum we used to have it spread out here, and how it went. So I know this time of year a lot of people are making decisions, thinking about curriculum they're going to use for next year for homeschooling. A lot of homeschool companies have sales, and so it's really fun to go on YouTube and watch other people's reviews of the curriculum they used and what they liked and what they didn't like. So here's our year-end review. I just cannot believe that this school year is done. It has been a really sweet year with my kindergarten son. He was 5 at the beginning of the year and turned 6 during the year, and he did some kindergarten and some first grade work. He's a little bit advanced in his math. But we had a really sweet year. He just is soaking it up. He does not always love school. I'm not going to say he always loves school, but on our good days, on his good days when he enjoys school, we have really sweet moments, bonding moments, and he just eats it up and does really well. And even on the days when he doesn't feel like doing school, usually once we get in here and he has one-on-one time with mom, we have like our homeschool room in here, he usually ends up brightening up and he likes the one-on-one time with me, and we have some really sweet moments together. So anyway, I'm not going to waste too much time. I just want to give you guys a little introduction. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into my stack of curriculum. I have my cup of coffee here, so grab yourself a drink and settle in and enjoy the video. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with our Bible. With him and my preschooler, my 4-year-old, I'm using Preschool or Sunlight, their Core T, and this is the Bible that comes with that Sunlight, and we have really enjoyed this Bible. It's got simple, short stories, which is great for their short attention span, and I do it with them together, and they usually have 1 or 2 comprehension questions and Bible verse maybe, and in the instructor's guide for Sunlight, they sometimes have more questions or things to discuss with your child, and usually a prayer that has something to do with what you learned about in that lesson. And usually Creed does really good. Even when I think he's not listening very well, he's like gazing off into space. When I get time for the question, he can like 100% of the time answer the question. Like he was listening, and even when I think he's not, he's listening. Even when his face looks like he's not listening, he is. My preschooler was a little different, but that's to be understood. He was 3 and 4 this past school year, but he still did really well. This here is the Sunlight Core T Instructor's Guide, and I can carry this around as my working binder and keep like a month's supply in here. I just filmed a year-end review of the Sunlight Core T, and I show all the books in there. I still have them stacked over here on my table, so be sure to go watch that video and you can see all the books and my thoughts and which were my boys' favorites. So all their like Bible and literature and the kind of like social studies is in their Sunlight. So I'm just going to go ahead and go on to more his core curriculum. So we're going to start with his language arts, and we did the Good and the Beautiful, and no secret here, I love the Good and the Beautiful. I used the old edition with my twins when they were this age, and it did not go good, and we ended up having to take 2 years to get the kindergarten one, which I later realized, I believe with the twins, I had some learning disability challenges I was going on with them, a little bit of dyslexia and stuff like that, which made it more difficult, and it was my first time teaching also, and when it's your first time teaching, it's a big learning curve for you also as the teacher. And we're using the old curriculum, which they've redone it now and have this new edition. I like this new edition much, much better. So it moves, it's very gentle, it moves slowly, and it's not such a fast pace and big jumps at the beginning. So that's what I really like, is it just slowly built upon itself. So you have to know the sounds of the alphabet when you start this, but then from there it builds really slow. I had done the preschool Good and Beautiful with him before this, so he knew his sounds quite well. And then it teaches sight words, and till the end here we were reading quite like sentences, longer words. Some of the words are actually quite big with the ing on there, like singing or something like that. So let me show you what resources I had to go with this. I can't believe we're done with this. This is such a happy memory book. Like, I don't think he cried one time over this lesson, which is very, very different than when I did language arts with his older brothers when they were in kindergarten. So 2 things, they redid their language arts, Good and Beautiful did, but also I think that with Creed, I waited till he was 5, 6 to put him in a kindergarten, and with my twins, they were 5 and didn't turn 6 till the end of their kindergarten school year, whereas he turned 6 at the beginning of his kindergarten school year. And it just goes to show that each child is very different and their learning rate is very different. And so for Creed, it was, it challenged him, but never to the point of tears. Whereas with my twins, that was a different story. And we took 2 years to do their kindergarten, which is fine. I learned a lot through that. I learned it's better to wait than to rush ahead. So with the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts comes this Reading Booster A cards, and these are little cards that you just go through and you learn. This here is sight words. This here is like triangles that you read through. You're supposed to do it 2 different days, and they have like different new sounds you're working on, or reading triangles, which is repeating the same word, which is really good when you're learning to read. Here is new sounds like the short A sound, the short S sound, just practice reading. And then they get to the end of the first unit, they have a maze, they have to review. These here are cards, and once they can check them off, they've mastered them, they can do the maze. So that's a little reward, and then they go to the next unit. And so each unit will have like a different set of sight words and then new sounds that it's teaching. Here is group 2 sight words. So more on sight words in a minute. I wanted to show you that down here at the bottom, once they have a page mastered, they can put a sticker on just as a little reward. And the sheet of stickers comes in the back of this book. So I think it's kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade all comes with these reading booster cards. And these reading booster cards are designed so if your child is learning to read faster than what they're learning, like the grammar that goes into language arts, you can move faster through these little books. So that way their reading is not held back by their writing. So they can move slower with the writing, which is in language arts, and they can move a little faster with learning to read if you want. So you can go ahead in this book if you want. Or if you need to slow down and review and come back and work at previous lessons and letter sounds and stuff, you can. And we also have handwriting for kindergarten level K, and he is done with this book. I will say his handwriting has a ways to go yet, but I think that's normal with kindergarten, and then also with a boy who he just doesn't care. I also do Explode the Code with him. This is his independent work, and he does 1 page a day in here, and I think he has a couple pages left, but he's basically done. So we are quite proud of him with this book. And then this is just like an extra resource I had. I used it with my twins, I'm using it with him now, and I teach English as a second language to children on and off, and I use this with them also. But this is teaching the short sounds and long sounds, and it's just a poster I have, and we go over it once they're learning that. Which in the level K, they don't learn the second sound until the very, very end, like the long sound. And it's kind of meant as an introduction, not really necessarily to master it. But yeah. They have, the one thing I love about The Good and the Beautiful is they have an app that goes with it. They have a YouTube channel, and they have a lot of songs. Like they have a video about long vowels and a lady talking, and it's like snowing, and she has snowflakes with long sounds, and they just use that as a gentle introduction way to teach the child that they have short sounds and long sounds for vowels. And then also with the language arts, he works on poetry memorization. Like he memorized one about the sun at the beginning of the school year and has motions to go with it. And then he memorized one about keeping neat and clean, like manners and brushing your hair, and has cute little motions to go with that. And anytime you work on it for quite a while, and once they get it memorized, I would give him a little bit of cash. And where we live here, they like to go down to the little corner store and buy a snack down there, and it's just like the greatest thing ever. They love it. It's a great reward for them. Okay, some more resources for language arts. Okay, these are the Reading Booster A books. This is a set, an add-on you can get. You don't have to get it, but it has the exact books that correlate with what they're learning in the language arts. So I picked out book 1, and this here is CVC words, because that's where they start out at the beginning of the language arts. And so on the back here it says what each book focuses on, and then it just has like really simple, this is the very first book, so it has really simple words in here. And it will have mixed in just a few sight words that they would know. And it's just a thin book, and then they can carry it around and be like, I read this book. And so for Creed, I had a little chart I just drew for him that I kept on the wall over here, and he had to read each book 2 times, like 2 different days, and 1 time to me and 1 time to his dad, and then he could check it off. Sometimes it was both times to me, depending if his dad was busy. And once he read 6 books, then I would give him a little bit of cash to also go spend at that store, because learning to read is hard work, and they need lots of reasons to celebrate. Okay, and then here's book 20, and this is like the one at the end. So this book is focusing on the ending ED and also sight words group 4. And let me just show you what the inside of this would look like. So it's definitely more words on a page, harder words, a little bit longer words, and a few more sight words mixed in there. So yeah, this is really great. Little box to get. And then I also got the first 2 nature readers. The first nature reader is this one, and it correlates with the level K. So again, it's working on the same sounds. It starts with like CVC, and then it introduces the different sounds at the same rate that your language arts does, and at the end, it has the same like sight words group 4 that would be at the end. He's finished both of these books, and they were enjoyable for him, but he doesn't necessarily pick them up to read for fun. He's not quite there yet. Reading us still work, but yeah. And this is the African reader. So it shows like a map, and then each story, which country it happens in Africa, and then it has different stories that happen to them, all featuring like African stories, which I appreciate that because we live in Cambodia and I teach English as a second language, and resources like this I will use with my beginning readers also. And so I'd like for them to have books that, now Africans don't necessarily look like Asians, but still, I don't like to have books where all the skin, the kids in the books are white skinned. I like to have some books for beginner readers that the skin is darker. I would love if the Good and Beautiful would come out with one that's like Asian kids yet, for beginner readers, but we'll see. Okay, 2 more resources to go with language arts. This here is Sight Word Flashcards by Christian Light Education, and it's a little box here. Here's the list of all their sight words, and these are kind of like for right-brained children, if you're familiar with that at all, but it'll have like a word with a picture, and on the back it always has a sentence. So for example, this is the word good, and it says, these donuts look good enough to eat, and the word good is in bold. And so these are the ones he has not learned yet, but all... Okay, and then these are the words, sight words that he had already mastered, and then the ones that he had not mastered. No, sorry, these are the ones he already mastered. These are the ones he's not mastered. And then not quite all the words were in there that like the Good and the Beautiful would have. And so I would write them just on index cards and add them in here. But he knows all of these now really easily. He can go through them and get them 100% correct. So that is great. It was a really easy way to memorize, and he would often remember those sentences. He could just say the whole sentence easy, but he would know the word too. Then if we switched to reading out of the book and the picture was not there with the word good, for example, he would still remember that that was the word good. The picture stuck in his brain. And then on my whiteboard up here, I wrote some different sounds that we would just go over every so often, like ED, CH, SH, TH, AY, OY, like A, and O, boy, like boy. We did not go over those every day, maybe twice a week, once a week even, just to help him remember, because I was noticing sometimes he was forgetting some of those different blends, the sounds that they make. All right, this here I printed off from the Good and Beautiful website. It was a free PDF. These here are like the flashcards of their sight words, or maybe just some of the other words mixed in. And then there's 2 sheets of these parking lots. And then we have a whole bin of little Hot Wheel cars. And so we would turn the flashcards upside down, and he'd pick up a flashcard and see what it is, find the matching one, and drive this car to go put on it. We didn't do this very often. He thought it was too slow. He'd rather just do the flashcards and say the words. Like I said, his memory is really good. And so he was able to memorize stuff pretty easily and quickly, but I had this here just in case if we needed more fun ways to add stuff into school, and he did it maybe once or twice. However, when my twins were in kindergarten, they would have loved something like this. There was just a lot more learning challenges when they were this age, and that's kind of what I was expecting teaching Creed to learn to read, but it has not been the way. It's been really easy, and it's been so fun. It's been so like enjoyable, and yeah, I can't express how much I've enjoyed teaching him to learn to read, and it's given me a lot of confidence. And I'm really thankful for that. Don't get me wrong, it's not all been easy. There's been plenty of days when he'd rather play than do his school. It's just that once he would come in here and do his school, it wasn't as bad as what he thought it was maybe gonna be. It was more enjoyable than he thought. Okay, for math, we did CLE math. Now, I like the Good and Beautiful math, and I was debating between that one and this one, and I would have been happy doing both. I just knew it was too much. I didn't have time for me as the teacher to do both with him. Now this boy loves math, and so I knew he was going to need something that was a little bit more advanced, and so that's why he's not doing kindergarten. That's why he's doing first grade math. CLE also doesn't have for kindergarten math, but he has excelled with this math. It's actually been on the easy side for him. And another big reason I picked CLE is because it is a bit more independent. There usually is not a whole lot for me to have to teach him, especially because for him, he just kind of gets math. He doesn't really need it explained. Numbers just make a lot of sense to him. But like, for example, counting by twos, the first time I taught him about counting by twos, and after that he got it. Like, we had to practice it numerous times throughout this whole book. They would tell me as the teacher to practice counting by twos with him, and it was never a struggle for him. And I know for some kids, learning to count like by 5s or by 10s can be hard, or by 2s, but not for him. And he can do it forwards, he can do it backwards. Yeah. This is my counting book, and it prompts you in the instructor's guide when to have the child count, and they count all the way to 1,000. And each time when they finish a page, then they get to kind of have a reward to get to do this side. So he's so proud of himself. He's not quite done with this book. He has like maybe a page left, but he is really close to 1,000, and he is just, he'll come and get it sometimes on his own, and do it just in his free time because he enjoys it. But his hand gets tired fast, so he'll maybe write 1 or 2 rows and then he has to go play for a while. So yeah. And then these are how CLE, Christian Education, does their curriculum. They have little mini units with about 10 lessons in a unit, and they're very affordable. They are like maybe $3, $4 for an individual book. So this is like book 101. So that means like it's first grade, because it's 1, and then book 1, and then there's book 102, 103, 104. It's first grade, book 2, first grade, book whatever. So yeah, it's just little lessons in here. And I really liked in this first book, for numbers 1 to 10, they have a little poem in the teacher's guide to teach you how to write every letter. And for children that are learning to write, they often will write them backwards or upside down or start at the bottom and go up. And so the poem helps you to remember how to form the letter. You start at the top and you go down, and like things about not writing them backwards, it can be really helpful for the children. And so often if I see him writing and he goes to start writing a number backwards, I can say the poem and it helps him remember to start at the top and go down, or to not write it backwards, whatever the case may be. So book 1, he was so proud of himself because it was so easy for him. Like it really gave him a lot of self-confidence. He felt really good because he felt so smart. By book 10, it was definitely getting harder. The subtraction, addition is easy for him. The subtraction is where it gets harder. Like if you have 11 minus 7, because then it's a little bit more, you have to think through and stuff. He can definitely still do it, but he does have to actually like apply a little bit of effort. All right, sorry, I had a little interruption there. My husband called me, but a couple resources that I had is just a big clock. They learned to tell time in here, and so it's just fun to have an actual clock to do it on. Okay, another resource I had here is a money thing, and this here is just dollars and cents. They learn about money in this book, and it can be so helpful for a kindergartner, a young child, to have actual stuff to touch and feel. And I think it's really good for them to be able to manipulate it and touch it. And then a thermometer. Towards the end of the math, they learn about thermometers, and this is a broken one. So what I want to do, was my plan, is to get like a red pipe cleaner and put it in there, and then tell him, okay, set this to 16 degrees or 27 degrees, and then he has to do it. I haven't done that yet, but maybe we'll get it done for next year. And then the last thing we used as a math manipulative is a timer. So sometimes in here there is speed drills, so we could use it for speed drills, or sometimes we would set it for a math lesson. Let's see if you can be done with your math lesson in 15 minutes. And so especially for a child who maybe doesn't know numbers very good yet, which my kindergarten does know numbers really well, but they can just glance at it and see that, oh, the blue part is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I don't have much time left. And so it's a really easy visual to see, and it also really motivates my children, especially this child, to see if he can beat the timer and get done before it. And he will come and get the timer on his own and play games and try to see if he can get his game done by, before the timer goes. He really enjoys challenging himself with a timer. Okay, next up, this is a morning menu, and I just have a to-do list on here for Creed. And beginning of the school year, he was not reading yet, and so I drew pictures for a lot of things, and then he can use a dry erase marker and check them off when he's done, erase it, and use it again the next day. And I have a few more things in here also that he has to do each day. Some of them are chores, some of them are his schoolwork. I'll be honest with you, my kindergartner did not use this very much. He did not use this very much. My twins, they used it every single day. They have one similar to this, and I made one for my kindergartner, but he just doesn't use it much. He wasn't very motivated by it, and it didn't really matter because pretty much everything I had to do with him, there wasn't a whole lot he could do by himself, especially at the beginning of the year. I think as they get older and can do more work independently, a to-do list is much more useful. It's just that I'd made one for his older brother, so I made one for him too, and I wanted to show you that. Okay, next up is science, and this is from The Good and the Beautiful. This is Wind and Waves. We had done the Fields and Flower one in the past, and this year we did the Wind and Waves one. I think we finished the flower one maybe at the beginning of this school year and started this one partway through. It has about 30 lessons in it, so you really only have to do it like once a week if you want, or you could do more and get done sooner, whatever. We actually have maybe 3 or 4 lessons left yet. We're almost done with this, but this is kind of the parent guide, and I really like these curriculums. It's really sweet. It's short lessons, and sometimes they have a story that you have to read out of here, so it's a literature-based science, which I really like. And this here has all the stories in it, bright, colorful pictures. And then this here will have comprehension questions, and then some lessons you are reading stories, some lessons you go and watch a video from the Good and Beautiful app, and then some days you listen to something. And back here they have a bunch of little, like, I forget what they're called, but you can pop them out. You pop out the little like person or whatever, and they have a little stand they stand on, and then as you listen to the audio narration, they tell you like what number to have your person stand on, and then they talk about different things about that picture. And then every lesson will have something here, like a comprehension questions and then optional activity. So yeah. Sometimes there was also games, like I know there was a game with fish. So we were learning about coral reefs, and this here was a little game. It had some fish we cut out, and then they had to have a little pawn and put it on the different, they had a dice and roll it and put on the different ones. You had to pick up one of the little papers, and on the back was either a fun fact or a question. And they had a question about what they had learned, or it was just a fun fact for them to read, and then see who could get to the end first. And he loves games, so that was a big hit also. So I just love how The Good and Beautiful is very creative and come up with a bunch of different ways to present their lessons. It's not the same thing every single lesson. I really like that. So this here is history. It's called Beads History of Me, and I had done this with my twins when they were this age, and we did maybe half of this book. So it's half a success, half a failure. It's really simple history. It's basically how things have changed from then till now, like just any time in history long ago till now. You have a little timeline you make of the child's life, help them understand that. Maybe you talk about the family tree a little bit, some different stuff like that. So it's got some color in here and some reading, and a lot of just discussing with the child and craft projects. This here is Dot to Dot. His grandma sent that to him, and he had a different one that he would work on while I was doing Sunlight with the twins. And so this was kind of his independent work. He finished that one and wanted a new one. So this is his new Dot to Dot, and it's in with his schoolwork because it's like an independent thing. This is another independent thing that he would work on when I was doing Sunlight with his older brothers. It's a dry erase marker, and it's hidden pictures, and you have to find different things, and there's mazes and stuff like that. And this was another of his independent. His other grandma had given this to him. It's my kindergarten learning book, and it's just like your typical workbook from Target or Walmart or Dollar General, wherever it's from. And he has done like 99% of it, I would say, most of it. Yeah. Some of the activities he enjoyed more than others. This here is a Brain Games Kids for Kindergarten. It's like logic kind of. So how it works is you have a question over here that you would read to the child, and then you as the teacher are looking at this side over here, and it has the answers. So this has been really easy for him. It was really easy for him. He flew through that one. Okay, I have two more things that he did independently, and then some flops. So this here is Paint by Sticker kids book. So I had gotten each of my boys one of these at the beginning of the school year for them to do, like while I was doing read alouds. Creed did not do very many of his. It was almost too hard. It was borderline too hard. Can you see how small those little things are and how small the stickers are? Yeah, so for him, I think I'll just save it, and he can continue to work on it next school year, and it can be something he does, you know, during read aloud time. Yeah, it was borderline too hard for him. The cover is missing off this book, but I found it at like a thrift store, and they have to find the differences between them. It's a big, huge book, and he loved doing this book. Okay, so next of all is kind of two fails. I don't know if they're really fails. We just didn't do them. This is geography, and it ended up like the things in here were almost like common sense. Like, for example, is this a hill? And they had to color in the circle yes or no. Is this a lake? And they had to color in the circle yes or no. And it's things the child is going to learn on their own regardless. And it's kind of like, he really didn't have to do this. He can learn those things on his own, and he knows most of those things already. So what I think I'll do is I'll save it. It's kind of easy for him. So we ended up not doing it. I'm gonna save it and use it with my preschooler. Probably this coming year, he'll be like pre-kindergarten, doing some kindergarten work, and I think it'll be more at his level. And then the other thing I got was one of these notebooks for him with like a spot to draw at the top, and then you're supposed to write a sentence at the bottom. And as you can see, we did exactly 0 pages in here. So this child, my son that is in kindergarten, he is not a super like artsy child. He would rather go do like action, although occasionally he really gets into coloring. He has to be in the right mood. But he'll color, but like in a coloring book. But anyway, I thought maybe he would enjoy drawing in here, writing a sentence, but obviously not. I'll save it, and maybe next year we'll use it more as an assignment, or even in 2nd grade when his writing skills are a little more advanced. We'll see, I don't know. And then, yeah, like I said, we had all his literature books from Sunlight. We read lots of great stories in there, and he loves stories. Sometimes we would do his and the preschooler Sunlight, the core tea in the morning. Sometimes we would do it right before bed. But I especially like doing right before bed because it feels so relaxed, and they're kind of sleepy, and they just cuddle up to you, and you don't feel rushed. You're not trying to like get through curriculum by lunchtime or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, we had a really great school year. It was a really sweet year. I really enjoyed teaching him to read. I'm so proud of him and where he's at, and I'm excited for next year in first grade and seeing how much more his reading skills advance. And yes, it's been a wonderful year for him as a student and also for me as the teacher. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys again soon. Bye.